What's going on, FA Nation? John Pemba here with Howard Benner. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Show. We are here previewing the 8-game main slate on Thursday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It is NFL Draft Day, so there's obviously a lot going on in the sports world. So the MLB decided to monopolize your afternoon. Only one game after 4 p.m. Everything there for DraftKings, starting at 1 p.m., running through the 4 p.m. slate here. We have Coors. We have maybe some potential weather if you're just looking at the DraftKings symbols. We have some really good pitchers on this slate. We have some fun matchups. So a full days of content here to break down for this one here, Howard.
And I love the fact that we get a nice 8-game slate, that MLB is not going to compete with the NFL draft. I agree with you that we do have a lot of really good pitchers on the slate. I will also say that I don't love a lot of these matchups, though, that some of these pitchers are on. So I thank everybody for joining us here on the show. Appreciate that. Hit that like and subscribe button here on the old YouTube page, because that's just a nice free way to say we appreciate you guys, and we appreciate that. So let's get to it, man. It's top of the ladder here for pitching. You got Zach Wheeler pitching in Cincinnati, although the Reds really have not done all that well lately yet. They really haven't started up. You got Ellie De La Cruz and 2 weeks of Christian Encarnacion Strand. The rest of that team has been a little Yamamoto against Washington. I like that, even though Washington hits right-handed pitching well.
They do.
And Washington puts pitchers into deep counts and works that, but I still like Yamamoto there at that point. And then Jose Barrios against the Royals, 9,400 here. But listen, you got Cole Reagans on the other side. Toronto's not a great hitting team, so I don't necessarily know if I want to pay up that much for Jose Barrios, knowing that the win equity could be a little suspect.
We also may not get that game. That is one of the few games that we are monitoring the weather, and that area is going to be wet tomorrow. There's going to be showers and rainstorms moving through the area for most of the day, and it only actually gets progressively worse. It's basically thunderstorms all day on Friday as well. So, it's not like one of those spots where like, all right, we'll delay it. We'll play later on in the evening. They're either going to play wet or they won't play at all here. Obviously, this being two American League teams, maybe they figure out a way to fit in an extra game or so in this matchup later on in the year. But I don't disagree. I think the Yamamoto matchup, like you mentioned, I don't like pitching pitchers against Washington. They don't strike out. They, like you said, they put balls in play, which sometimes those balls become singles and doubles, and pitchers get run out of games early. I do like Wheeler versus Cincinnati for the strikeout potential, but it is the Great American Small Park. You said Ellie De La Cruz. Spencer Steer led the league in RBIs early on in the year.
I'm sorry, I always forget. He gets like that B listing, right? He doesn't get the high A listing.
But could definitely be a good matchup there. And obviously on the other side, the win equity there for Wheeler is going to be pretty high for Philly going up against Martinez. In the mid tier, you have Verlander making a second start against Chicago. Verlander did look pretty good when I did the Fantasy Alarm show. With Jim Bowden, we were talking about Verlander's debut, and he looked really rough in the minor leagues. And was that indicative of his stuff, or is he just building up the pitch count? And Jim with the connections just shot a quick text in the middle of the show, talked to the GM of the Houston Astros, and came back from the commercial break and was like, "Nah, he's fine." We're like, all right, Jim, sounds good. So
I love that aspect, man. He's done that a ton of times on the show with me as well. It's one of the best things about having that kind of access. Totally.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to text flex, but I just texted the GM of the Houston Astros. Verlander's good to go. Velocity looked great. They were just building up his pitch count. So it sounds fantastic. And he looked pretty good in that debut start. Now, in Coors can certainly be tough for any pitcher, or not Coors, Chicago rather, can be tough. Luis Castillo in Texas, not going there. Cole Reagans in that game plays against Toronto. Like, Toronto's offense has disappointed. Reagans obviously coming off of a horrid start. A couple times ago there, 7 earned, 9 hits allowed, an inning and 2/3 last time out there against Baltimore. So I'm kind of with you. A lot of top end names. Picking and choosing where you want to go on this slate, I think, is going to be interesting. I like Wheeler. My initial thought was play Wheeler or Verlander on this slate. And then, maybe give a look at Bailey Ober against the White Sox just because it's the White Sox.
Yeah.
Ober coming off
Bailey Ober call there for sure. I think that he matches up well. I mean, the White Sox aren't a good team. Mike Soroka on the other side of that game. You know who is kind of interesting because of the way he's pitching and the way the opposition is hitting right now, and that is Javier Assad.
Sure.
Because yes, granted, it's going to be Verlander, and Verlander could be real nice against these Cubs, especially without Bellinger in that lineup anymore. Cracked rib for those who don't know. He's got a fractured rib, and he's on the IL. But dude, the Oakland A's have more wins than the Houston Astros do right now. This team is not gelling at all, and they all look like crap. And even Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez, who are probably their two best hitters, are both not struggling, but neither one of them is really like lighting it up.
Yeah, their pitching obviously is taking a big hit. Framber Valdez on the IL, Christian Javier on the IL. It's one of the reasons why Verlander kind of got rushed back was they were in need of some arms here. Arrighetti pitched tonight, got hit around. JB France got hit around the night before, so their staff is not doing them any favors in those instances there either, because then they can't get to their elite bullpen. They don't have a lead. Doesn't matter who's in the 7, 8, 9 if they're not in the game. So. Assad could be interesting. I was a little tilted on the Miami start. He pulled after 87 pitches there, 4 2/3. Same thing happened against Seattle, 87 pitches. He threw 89 in his opener, but then he went 104 against San Diego. So I don't know what to make of the pitch count there, but sure, Assad definitely is interesting. What do you think though? Like after that, I mean, Heaney, the strikeouts, but he doesn't pitch 5 innings for the first time all season, got the 90 pitches. He's 6K. I mean, there's definitely some tournament appeal at times with Andrew Heaney, but we definitely haven't seen it consistently enough over the last year and a half.
I think what we're going to have to there's a lot of adjustments that we're going to have to make, by the way, when we're talking about pitch counts and things like that, because I kind of feel like we're going to see a lot of limited things going on with pitchers. All these pitchers are going on the IL, right? Because teams are like, we want you to throw hard for every pitch, and we want you to put as much spin on it as possible. And so we're seeing everybody, Brayan Bello from the Red Sox, right? It was Craig Breslau who was like, I want everybody throwing all their breaking stuff. Like this is putting a massive strain on it. So I'm kind of at the point right now where it's still early in the season. I expect pitch counts. I do. So I think you're getting it across the board. He threw 104 pitches the last time he was out, but I don't think that's going to be the norm here. I think you have to expect that around 80 to 90 pitches that a lot of managers are going to start pulling their kids.
Sure. I could definitely see that being the case here. Brayan Bello went down with the lat injury there. Blake Snell went down today as well with an injury. So, was that the injury? Because given his performances here, like, all right, you know what? We're going to sit you down. We're going to get you some rehab. We're going to get you some minor league starts. We're going to build you back up because clearly you haven't looked ready to go to start the year with him there. But again, after that, nothing else really jumped off the page for me. I'm not going to go with Boston against Cleveland. Not going to pitch McKenzie against Boston. The Red Sox offense scoring runs. Not going to go Nick Martinez. McKenzie Gore versus the Dodgers. No thanks. So 8 games, very limited pitcher pool. I'll be very interested tomorrow morning to see what the ownership ends up looking like when it comes to that.
I think you're going to see a lot of Wheeler or Yamamoto along with Bailey Ober. Sure. I think we're at that point where we're targeting these soft teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ober for sure. 100%, probably like 40% rostered on the slate. Catcher, we don't need to go too deep into it. We take the cheaper catcher that's on the board. Campusano still in Coors. Padres are finishing up their series here. He did not play on Wednesday, leading me to believe that he'll play on Thursday here. $3,900 for him feels perfectly fine in Coors Field. If you wanted to go there.
Bo Naylor in the lineup for the Guardians here on Wednesday night, sure, which probably puts Austin Hedges behind the plate for Cleveland against Alexander. tomorrow. Hedges down at 2,500. I was playing around with some lineups, and he was actually my placeholder.
Okay. Hedges is fine.
Even though he sucks.
He definitely is bad. So Connor Wong's homered twice tonight for Boston, Howard. I don't know if he's going to be the one in the lineup against McKenzie, but he's the best hitter on the Red Sox right now. It's like, he's hitting well over 300. He's got 5 homers now. His OPS is over 900. But if he isn't in the lineup, I also don't mind going down to Reese McGuire, who's very capable of handling the bat. Again, Tristan McKenzie's been terrible. So both Red Sox catchers are perfectly fine to be in play with me. Where's Danny Jansen? Danny Jansen's 3,300. We may see him against Reagans. If not, Alejandro Kirk, righty versus lefty. But I think Jansen would be the guy we see there, given his power numbers against left-handed pitching last season, if that game ends up actually playing. And then we'll see where the lineups take us. If someone else is popping in the lineup, maybe we'll give them a look. Sebi Zavala was in the lineup today for Seattle, so don't know if he would make it back around. But Mitch Garver is 3,500 still. He just DHs for them, but he gets catcher eligibility, so could have that to play as well.
Okay. Well, let's turn to first base.
All right.
We don't need to commit to a catcher here.
That's fair. Ohtani and Freeman both get the lefty-lefty matchup against Mackenzie Gore. Steer versus Wheeler, we're not going to go. I do like Josh Naylor. I know the price is quickly rising on Josh Naylor, but the man's hitting the ball. 20 RBIs already, almost 1,000 OPS. Perfectly okay if you want to spend up on Cleveland bats here against Alexander. Pascantino against Berrios. What are
we sure that Harper isn't going to be back from paternity leave?
Paternity leave. So is he going to come back for this one?
I mean, he missed what? He was out on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I think if Harper is back, listen, man, birth of a child, lefty bat in Great American Small Park against Nick Martinez. I kind of like that. If I'm paying up and he's in the lineup, that first game back for all these guys with paternity leave, it always just it hits different, John.
You got the dad strength,
you get that dad strength. Absolutely.
Yeah. All righty. Harper definitely would be in play. Cronenworth versus Hudson at $4,400. Turner did not play today. Again, if that game plays with the weather, Turner would be hitting in the middle of their lineup. We played a lot of Twins this week. Our guy Henry Wilson's had Twins in this playbook. Has worked out in some of the matchups here. Obviously, the last couple of games against the White Sox, they've scored 13 combined runs. So, big price bump for some of these guys. Kirilloff up to $4,100. He's been either hitting first or second for them. Again, we're not in on Soroka. Nathaniel Lowe, I like against Castillo. I think he's a good bat in the Rangers lineup against Castillo at home.
Yeah, I think that's actually the spot where I was looking the most. You look at Castillo right now, because Castillo is a guy who he will turn it around. When the calendar flips to May, that's when Castillo, he's like, oh shit, all right, here I go. I'm going to do it. Right now, lefty hitters are posting a 421 weighted on base average against Luis Castillo right now. So I definitely dig on Nathaniel Lowe. And I actually, again, we'll talk more about it as we go, but lefty Texas Rangers bats, I'm definitely in on for this slate.
Sure. Perfectly fine going there. And I don't have anything else down here for value that I'd be looking at. So,
no, I don't think there's really anybody there that would warrant it. I think the lowest I'm probably looking is Nathaniel Lowe.
Yeah. Barring, I don't know. You want him to be different and not play Ober. Gavin Sheets, 3,300, but that's probably.
I don't even know why you would even mention that. Sorry, Gavin Sheets.
Howard, this is a PG-13 show. Don't disrespect Gavin Sheets. He's good. He's the new Jake Berger.
No, he's not the next Jake Berger. We've seen Gavin Sheets, dude.
Anyways, Mookie Betts, 6,500 against a lefty. And Gore is your second baseman. Altuve, Semien against Castillo. Still have Xander in Coors. Jimenez feels like we haven't had a chance to play Cleveland in a long time because those 640 starts. Got him. I like Bryson Stott a lot at $4,400.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
Definitely some good spots here at second.
Definitely some good spots at second. Edouard Julien, if you're looking down a little further there as well.
Yep.
I think Julien is a good play here against Soroka. Your boy Kevin Biggio, if that game plays.
Yeah, lefty. Probably not for me there.
Oh, okay.
I'd give Emmanuel Valdez a look just for Boston homerisms.
Boston homerisms.
Yeah.
There's nothing down below here, man. I'm looking right now. There is nothing down below.
There is not. Third base. Got Jose Ramirez, obviously being an elite spot. I think he homered the other day.
Yep.
He did homered the other day. So you have him against Boston pitching, terrible. Given all the injuries. Devers is there at 5K. I still think he's hurt though.
He is.
Alec Boehm, even though it's righty, he's been really hitting the ball pretty well for Philly. We just like that matchup against Alec Martinez in general there.
Righty doesn't affect me like lefty does.
Sure.
Not even close.
No, he's been on a heater, like you mentioned. Could have Harper now back in that lineup.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that a lot for sure. I mean, Josh Smith, you said lefties against Castillo. He's 3,300.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. This we're gonna end up with a Rangers stack here at some point, and it's going to be glorious. Unless, of course, you want to go to Tyler Wade even further down. How about this? Tyler Wade, a lefty bat, going up against Dakota. I only pitch to contact Hudson in Coors freaking Field.
Yeah, I think we'll have to wait on the Machado news too, because he also went on maternity leave at the same time.
Harper did, yeah.
Harper did. So I guess there is potentially a chance that he returns as well. But yeah, that was the one I was going to go to there as well. Just sort of getting the cheap lefty bat in Coors Field against a bad righty there with Tyler Wade. I don't have anything else here. I know you've been crapping on Danny Mendick, but the man's got 4 hits in the 2 games that he has played. And he's hitting like second for them. So
John, this is a PG-13 show. You can't say stuff like
that's his name. I can say his name, Howard. His name is Danny Mendick.
You just said you were going to crap on some man's dick? What? Dude.
I got to see what he's at today. What's he got today? Over 2 leading off. Who did the damage? Pilar and Corey Lee both homered. That's what we got going against Joe Ryan today. All right. That's probably it, Danny. I got nothing else.
I got nothing else there at third base. Go to shortstop here, John. We could say Mookie Betts. Yeah, sure, why not? But why wouldn't we say Trey Turner against Nick Martinez? I love that one there. Mm-hmm. I obviously love Bobby Witt Jr. if that game does play. But Corey Seager down there at 5,700. Astounding that he's 5,700 and still the 5th most expensive guy on this slate here. Give me that lefty bat against Luis Castillo.
Yeah, just for context, as you mentioned it, so I wanted to at least just say the numbers here. This year against left-handed hitters, now against smaller sample size, only a couple of starts here for him. 421 WOBA, 603 slugging, 362 batting average for lefties against Luis Castillo. Really hitting him hard. 2.2 homers per 9. I will say this, though. He has a 2.3 xFIP, so they're hitting him. He's got terrible numbers, but like the sabermetrics are kind of like, all right, he's not this bad,
No, he's a great pitcher, and yeah, listen, you could look at his FIP differential from his ERA, and you can talk about what he's got the capability of doing. That's great, but until he has that one start where it clicks, I'm going to target against him. And listen, I'm going to do it in a GPP tournament. I'm not worried about it in a cash game, a 50-50 or a double up even. But if I'm like going against the grain right now, I'm just going to keep hammering him because I do think that there's some people that are like, oh, well, he's going to turn it around at some point.
Sure.
Show me him turning it around before I do that. I'll spend the money. I'll put the entrance fee in there without question.
Where do you go with Ellie De La Cruz right now? Would you hit him against Zach Wheeler here if you weren't obviously pitching Zach?
I mean, if I'm fading Zach Wheeler or if I'm trying to do like a little contrarian thing, yeah. I mean, I love Ellie De La Cruz. But for 200 less, I love Corey Seager even more.
Okay. Bo Bichette at that game plays is $4,400. Payne is bumped up a little bit down up to 42. Anybody in this mid-tier range for you?
In the mid-tier range, who was I looking at? No, like that's the funny thing is that it really gets bad. We'll see about Machado and whether or not he's going to be back, but I'm not a fan of CJ Abrams against Yamamoto. I've never been an Ezekiel Tovar fan. I guess you could if you were looking for some Coors exposure, but if
Yeah,
I'm looking for Coors exposure, I'm looking for a guy who's a little bit more of a power hitter
sure.
than Tovar.
Yeah,
So
I'm not spending 47 there against him either. That feels like a little bit too much.
yeah.
Um, Sedon Rafaela is $3,100 for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Castro has been in their lineup because Correa's been out. He's 27. He's been terrible.
What
Uh,
about David Hamilton? What's David Hamilton doing? Is he playing still? Is he starting regularly?
oh, no, yes and no. I mean, like he's been more so coming off their bench than starting lately, but there is stolen base potential with him. But they've been going
Lefty
with
bad against McKenzie.
they've been doing a Sedan there instead. So
Right. Yeah.
that's it for shortstop. Fun position of the outfield. Your usual suspects are up here. If you want to build a lineup around a few of them, Howard, where are you looking to go?
Well, if I'm looking, for up top again, I mean, how do you not like try to, if you're going to pay up, you might as well just pay up for Tatis against Dakota Hudson
Yeah,
and get that Coors exposure. I'm fine with that. You could go lefty bats against the righty Assad, but I do think that Houston is kind of struggling a little bit. Schwarber against Nick Martinez. I think that's a great spot. So if I'm picking out of this top tier group here, it's probably going to be Tatis and Schwarber for me.
if you were looking at all of the guys priced 5K and up, who's the one that feels like he doesn't belong there?
Stephen Kwan.
Why is Stephen Kwan $5,200?
I don't know. What's his BVP versus Alexander?
I don't know. I mean, I get it. He's hitting 350 with 2 homers this year, but I mean, come on.
Stephen Kwan.
Come on. What are we doing here? Dude, Julio Rodriguez at 5K still. He's heating up. He was due, he got the homer, gets Heaney here. If Heaney doesn't, have pitches, basically just as he's been pitching, there's a good chance Julio Rodriguez can be productive there. Jarren Duran's really good. He's been, again, one of the few Red Sox players with talent currently active on their roster. At $4,900 against McKenzie, who's been trash. Mid-tier, a bunch of 4K guys we usually find that we do gravitate to. I mean, how deep into the lefty splits are you going? Does Evan Carter crack a lineup for you, given how poorly he's played?
He could, but I'd rather do Brandon Marsh against Nick Martinez.
I could do that, yeah.
Right? I mean, I like Buxton against Soroka as well. I think Buxton's starting to wake up a little bit more. But Marsh is probably that guy there. I do like Evan Carter as a player. Again, if I'm stacking these Rangers, I'm gonna start with the top guys. Like I'm gonna start with a Corey Seager. I'm gonna and lock in that, and that's gonna probably force me out of paying. So if I had to if I had to pick, but at this price range, Marsh over Carter for me. I'm doing that. And then I'm looking at I like Jackson Merrill going up against Dakota Hudson. I think that's a great spot to be. Yep. I even like a little Alex Kirilloff going up against Soroka as well, as a definite possibility. And then Jurickson Profar at 4K.
Yep, Profar's there for me. Again, I think Haniger could be interesting if you're just going to go with some of these Seattle righties against Heaney and not believing in Heaney at $3,900. What else do we got down here? Kepler, just like Kirilloff. Kepler's $3,700 with some power there from the left side of the plate.
I would check out. I think he got held out of the lineup on Wednesday. I don't know if it's an illness or if it was just a day of rest for him. But they did hold Kepler out today.
Yeah. I mean, this note just says it doesn't seem like it could just because it's a lefty-lefty matchup.
Sure.
But I mean, if he's in the lineup, I know that these numbers don't look great, but he got hurt. And since he's come back, he's 3 for 7 with 4 RBI. So could give Kepler a look at 37. Eloy's about the only bat in Chicago's lineup that you really should be too afraid of if you're not in on Ober, but we are for sure pitching Ober. But on a slate like this, if Bailey over ends up 40%, you want to be different with a lineup, you got to probably stack against him, and hope he gets hit. Yoshida's all the way down here. Weiler or Bray using pretty good for Boston. All the Red Sox players are cheap, so
Yeah, that's definitely that's going to be a nice little that'll probably be a mini stack of ours somewhere. We'll probably be able to get some Red Sox value.
Yeah, Weiler's been really good. One of the prospects they got in the Christian Vasquez trade. So, and he showed that last year as well when he got called up. I don't really see a ton else down here, though. Oh, Trevor Lawrence, again, just hitting third, fourth this team, 3,100.
Leody Taveras, again, if you want to do another lefty against Castillo.
Sure.
Has some possibilities there.
There's the other day.
What's that?
Pajas homered the other day. He's 3K.
Yep.
But let's build a lineup. Let's plug in over.
Okay.
And then are we doing Wheeler or Yamamoto?
I don't really care. I mean, I think or
Verlander. Do we do Verlander?
$400. We could definitely do Verlander if you wanted to throw him in there against the Cubs. Again, I'm fine with doing that because Bellinger's out of that lineup, and I'm not really that jazzed about guys like Ian Happ or Chris Morrell even against them. So yeah, let's go Verlander. Save some bucks.
So you got 4,200. You said you were playing around with an Austin Hedges in here.
He was a placeholder at 2,500. That's where I was going with it because I just figure for a day game he'll be behind the plate.
Sure, let's roll him out there. That gives us a lot of money to figure out where we wanted to go here.
Well, look how much we get if we go Nathaniel Lowe at first base.
I was gonna say, I feel like we're gonna get some Seattle lefties or Texas lefties in here. So Seager, Nathaniel Lowe. That's two stack there. They'll be hitting near each other in the lineup.
Sure.
Second base, do we just do the obligatory Mookie Betts play? Or
I don't see why we wouldn't.
It's him or I guess we can do Stott.
Oh, we do like Stott. Yeah. We like Stott.
Because we like Stott. You also mentioned Marsh, right? Get a little Where's Marsh? There he is. 43.
We're gonna have to pay up at third, I think, right?
Yeah. Most likely. Otherwise we could go Bohm and then spend up at two outfielders.
Oh, like a 3-man Philly stack, because Bohm will hit down, like near those guys too.
Yeah, so we do that. We do 3-man. That gives us 4,250. So we can go a value outfielder and then spend up somewhere, or we can do.
What happens if we just put Tatis in there? What do we have left? Just put him in there. Get some Coors exposure here, John.
2,500.
Ugh.
Your lefty Travis Janikowski against Castillo, would he play?
I don't know. Oh, we're using Verlander. I was going to say Pete Crow Armstrong just got the call up.
He did just get the call up. That is true. Not in the lineup today, but could be in the lineup tomorrow.
Has not been hitting the ball very well at all.
No, he is not.
All right.
Pilar did homer tonight, but we're pitching over.
Yeah, take out Tatis. We'll go something more sensible here.
Let's see what we can do.
Jackson Merrill.
You want to go Merrill? Okay.
Go Merrill.
I was gonna say we could go like Julio at 5K if we weren't going Heaney. All right, Merrill's 42. So we'll give you your Coors there. That gives us a $4,300 guy. You can just go go Ethan Carter if you wanted, or go Kirilloff here.
Okay, some possibilities.
Profar probably hits near Merrill in that lineup at 4K.
Ooh,
something like that.
Little mini stack of Padres, little stack of Phillies, little mini stack of Rangers. I like this. I'm wearing my glasses today, John. You don't have to blow it up to the point.
Contingent, obviously, on Austin Hedges playing in this game.
Yes, very contingent on that.
Because I don't think we have a $2,800 catcher. Would we? Maybe Carantini or Furman or something like that.
Carantini could definitely play. Nisner.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see. We'll see what we need to do there. So again, example lineup for everybody: Ober, Verlander, Hedges, Lowe, Stott, Bohm, Seager, Marsh, Merrill, and Profar as an example lineup. No live show, obviously, with the slate locking at 1 p.m. Eastern time, but we will have the playbook out for you guys nice and early, and you can find us in our Discord. If you're not already a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, I don't really know what you're waiting for. You go to fantasyalarm.com/win, or you can scan the QR code that's there it is. QR code that's right there on the screen, and sign up today. The annual subscription for a year gets you access to everything we do on site. 40% off the month-to-month cost. So basically a nice big discount for a year. Otherwise, you can sign up monthly as well. Cancel at any time. But I don't think you'd be doing that. We've been basically paying for people's subscriptions over and over again so far this MLB season here. And, our chat, our Discord on Twitter, we can all verify that. So we appreciate you all tuning in. Again, if you haven't hit that like button, please do so. It's a free way to support what we do here on the Fantasy Alarm channel. Howard and I will be back on Friday morning to break down the Friday slate. Till then, everybody, we'll catch you later.